Greetings and salutations, fine people. I'm Patty Alvarez. Welcome to The Good Soul, a show where we'll have supercharged chats with everyday humans from all walks of life and unpack what in their story will inspire us all. We'll extract the untapped wisdom, distill it, and serve it up to you in all the right ways that will engage, enlighten, and most of all, inspire growth within your soul. I think people are awesome. So join me on this journey through the hearts and minds of ordinary people to uncover the good soul within you. This is The Good Soul. Hello, friends. Welcome to The Good Soul, episode 49, titled The Radiant Feminine. I'm here with the High Priestess of Femininity, the extraordinarily vibrant, stunning, and fully empowered Dorothy Diana. Welcome, Dorothy.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited. This was long awaited.
Yes.
So I'm going to quote your website. You're on a personal growth journey, ready to embrace your divine feminine energy. You desire to manifest polarity and abundance in your relationships, particularly with your masculine counterpart. You're seeking to shed old beliefs and traumas that are holding you back from living a blissful and vibrant life. You're ready to prioritize self-care, honor your body's needs, even amidst the demands of daily life. You're open to exploring the sacred intersection of spirituality, sensuality, and self-love. So today, we're going to talk turning on, turning up, and transforming, embodying the divine feminine energy and soulful sensuality for deep confidence, connection, and chemistry. I am so here for this, Dorothy. Truly. Again, thank you so much for being here. This is going to be cool. So let's get started first with tell me about your childhood and what brought you to this place to write a book entitled Radiant Feminine Energy, Radiant Energy, Radiant Feminine.
Well, the book is 14 Days to Magnetic Feminine Radiance, and the other one is Unleash Your Radiance, which is more myths. And the 14 days is more of a journal.
Okay.
But the way I got to that is long and circuitous, but I'll try to keep it short. So my upbringing was what you would from the outside call really perfect.
Okay.
We were a successful family and upper middle class, went to Catholic school, had all the music lessons and sports. And I will say, like many women and men, I work mostly with women, so I usually refer to women. But like most of us, it was a very emotionally disconnected childhood. So there wasn't physical abuse in my early childhood, but there was a real emphasis on perfection, performance, grades, being smart, not necessarily being pretty, but the emphasis on being pretty came later. So looking back, I would say due to that sort of emphasis on what it was to be a good girl, coupled with some pretty dark experiences in my teen years with sexual trauma and assault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to say like most women. So
Yes,
I've worked with women now.
completely.
I've been in somatic healing, feminine movement for 20 years, and I've worked with women more and more in this capacity over the past 6. But I would say I can say that freely, knowing I'm not only not alone in saying that, but it's the vast, vast majority.
Completely.
And
I've heard 1 in 3.
And if we include trauma, so now I'm trauma certified, and I love these conversations. And I will say, for a woman with a private body, being 12 years old out in the schoolyard and having your bra snapped and having people see and laugh, that is traumatic. It will stay in your body, and that's the most lighthearted of the traumas we endure.
Yeah.
And I don't want to throw men under the bus. They're good. They're not raised with the tools how to use that amazing testosterone and interact appropriately and meet the feminine where she needs to be met. They're actually raised a lot of, especially in the 80s, if you look at 80s movies, to be aggressive and to think that no is yes. So not to get off on a tangent, but by the time I was in my late teens, I was homeless and intentionally homeless. I had left an abusive home. My mother had remarried. And I was involved in some things that were very dark. And in hindsight, I see how God gave me that in my life, actually to show me to give me the tools for the pushback. The pushback is huge. If we don't alchemize our experiences by the emotions of maybe rage, taking the shame and alchemizing it to anger, and then later to light, which is what I'm doing now, helping adolescent girls all the way up in women in their 40s and 50s to take those experiences and transform them through somatic movement, moving the trauma through the body, through philosophy, through compassion, through spirituality, through stellar self-care, overwork, overburden, and perfection. So there's a lot here. So my youth and adolescence and up until mid-20s, where God spoke and transformed my life powerfully and sent me into a master's degree in healing, followed by a postmaster's in sexual health, followed by a marriage that taught me how important it is to not just have a checklist of protection and safety and what looks good to the outside world, but deep emotional connection with another healed individual is crucial for happiness. So again, another beautiful lesson.
Beautiful. Can I ask you real quickly, where did you grow up?
So I was born in San Diego, California.
Okay. I never knew that. Yeah. I'm so glad I got to ask you that question. And can you talk?
I was raised in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just think it's important. So I was raised in the South. So it's a little more safer environment for a woman, I think.
In the South.
You know what? That could be a whole nother conversation in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take me back to when God spoke to you in your 20s?
So I have had dreams, and this gets kind of weird, but that's okay. I don't mind getting weird. I've had dreams since I would say 12 or 13, very spiritual, very powerful spiritual dreams, about 2 or 3 times a year, where I felt like I was getting a strong message on things. So I've always had a very strong faith base, very connected, always asking, even in my darkest times, knowing that when the ish hits the fan, you get on your knees, you cry, you beg God for mercy. And for me, within 24 hours, miracles happen. This has been my whole life. But I would say that particular time, it happened through a friend, which happens so often. I believe God brings his angels in our lives.
Oh, yes.
All the time. You're one for me. You're one for me.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'm honored. What a compliment.
To teach us, to guide us. They all bring different gifts, right? So a friend who actually, if the public or people would just look at this person, they would probably think that she was a very low-level person, but she had a very beautiful heart and had a horrible childhood and was working her way up in the world trying to become better. And she said something to me that was very pivotal. She said, we were all talking last night, and this was one of the darkest times of my life where I was really engaged in very negative things and in circles that were, okay.
Sure. I think we all went through that phase.
And she said, we were all out last night and we were saying, who's gonna be somebody one day? And everyone voted you. And I can't even tell you the lack of affirmation and praise in my childhood, coupled with seeing someone who believes in you, it really alchemized something. It changed something inside me. And then a year later, I had a boyfriend that I'd known for many years who loved me so much. And one reason I love the masculine, and I'll never throw them under the bus, is I've had a series of men in my life, friends, some boyfriends, but mostly platonic, who have helped me so much and been so supportive when I needed them. And this boyfriend also said something to me and that lifted me up. He said, I don't care what you're doing. You're worth more than this. I'll go to town for you. He's like, I would take a bullet for you. You're not doing this stuff anymore. You were done. And he sort of saved me. And I believe to this day he's an angel. I still talk to him. I talked to him 6 months ago. This was in my early 20s.
Is his name really Angel? Or you just call? Oh, I thought
he
you
is
said
an angel.
He's an angel.
He
okay,
was an angel.
Listen, we have to wrap up the first segment. That was a perfect note to end on. So, guys, don't go away. We'll see you in just a few on The Good Soul. Thanks for being here. This segment of The Good Soul is brought to you by Erin Fisnick, certified luxury home specialist with Ivester Jackson Christie's International Real Estate. Erin serves all levels of the greater Lake Norman region real estate market, and whether buying or selling, she is very much the lady who will deliver like no other. Many of us at Good Soul are also really happy clients. Erin can be reached at 704-728-5657 or reach out to me and I'll get you guys connected. Thank you, Erin Fisnick, and thank you guys for tuning in and supporting The Good Soul. Welcome back, everybody, to the Good Soul episode 49. We are talking the Radiant Feminine with the radiant and incredible Dorothy Diana. That was a great first segment, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm inspired already. So I thought I would use for the baseline for the show your book, 14 Days to Magnetic Feminine Radiance. And I thought we would go day by day. And within this day by day description, you can weave in stories of your wisdom and your past and things that are going to enlighten and inspire us. So we're going to start first with greeting the day with a vision of radiance. So what does that look like for you, and advise us? Like, what would you say to that?
So I do work with women who want to be more in their feminine energy. And a lot of my clients are very successful CEOs, business women, frequently juggling parenting, marriages, or relationships, and they're burned out. And so over the course of the many years doing the somatic sensual movement for the feminine body, it sort of evolved into coaching, because you come very close with your clients and the sisterhood becomes pretty tight, and there is nothing that is a secret. So that book evolved out of that. And one of the tenets of being in your feminine energy is waking up and loving your life, having gratitude, appreciation, and realizing that things don't have to be tough and hard. They can be soft and beautiful. They can nourish you. So the home environment is huge. So waking up with a vision of radiance, waking up and I like to intentionally have gratitude. Like I connect with God, and you can call God whatever you want, source, creator, universe.
Agreed.
And or your own higher self, and say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. These few wonderful things have happened in my life. I love, even if your life isn't going great, I love my soft pillow. I love my blanket. I painted my toenails. They look so cute. What a beautiful day outside.
The spot of tea.
Yeah, anything. There's so many ways to find beauty, and that will sink you into your divine, abundant, feminine energy. That will put you there very quickly. And yeah, so it's almost like a checklist of sorts. I would say to that too. I mean, I've been speaking about this for probably like the past year, where I really came to like this realization that I was waking up with like the terrors almost, where I would wake up and and I'd be like, not enough money, not enough time. Oh my God. And what I ended up doing was, before I go to bed, I write in my gratitude journal and I do a meditation, and I literally shut the door before he comes to bed. And then I wake up in the morning and immediately go right to affirmations. And it really does work. Ritual is really important. It's huge. So I have a mindset journal that I love, and I will open that up, and it has a calendar in the middle, but on either side of the calendar. So a day calendar, a time starting at 6 a.m. to... But then on either side has mindset, like, how do you want to show up today? What are you excited about? Who do you want to connect with? Yeah. And then at the top, it says top 3 goals. So I will say my strength is feminine energy. I'm really good at it. It's my zone of genius. And God says, honey, we're going to be balanced. You're building a business and you need to show up on time for clients. So we need an integrated, healthy masculine, as you well know, to not be in chaos, right? So I love this journal because you do have the structure and you have your goals, but then you also have the mindset. So I believe journaling, like you said, is hugely important. And whether that's free form or a guided journal, yes. And then do something pleasurable. Like, go have a nice cup of tea, like you said. Have a cup of coffee. Go for a walk. Go outside to the porch and be like, hello, day. Hello, morning. Take time to fix your hair. Put on a lipstick. Wear clothes that have a beautiful fabric. Just take the time to indulge yourself and you're feminine, and you will go in the world a different person, even if you're the boss CEO.
Yes, of course. Yes. Even more importantly, I think, because you're setting a standard. I love also how you referenced this serious side and the structured side as the masculine. Can you explain that? Because a lot of women would be like, but I'm all for that.
So masculine energy doesn't mean men. So I always want to say we all have both, and we usually are very comfortable more in one than the other. And that's yin and yang. That's the universe works that way, whether we like it or not. And if you're born with an XX brain and an XX body, and neurochemically things are pretty much in line, you will think differently. You'll move through the world differently. You'll have different geniuses. I call them in my series 5 feminine geniuses we have, and it's real.
Can you rattle them off real quick? The 5 feminine geniuses.
Oh my gosh, we're going to get off. Yes. So if the masculine energy is linearity, point A to point B, accomplishment, ambition, competition. And again, masculine energy, you can access it. You do it all the time. I can. However, it depletes our testosterone. We have limited reserves. So it can be really hard on our body, sends our cortisol up. So we want to intentionally go into those zones, not be forced into them by culture all the time. There's a choice. So 5 feminine geniuses, and this is actually S Factor philosophy, Sheila Kelly. There are many philosophies that talk about this, but I love this one for the movement practice I teach. So curve of movement is one.
Okay.
Curve, right? So instead of walking through the world, and I'm not going to demonstrate the walk I teach on this show, but I teach women really they relearn how to walk in my practice, because we are meant to walk with our hips. We're meant to be proud of our breasts and not be like this, right? We see this.
Well, Patty's got to work.
Oh wait, I will tell you, Manny, that this is the person who I quote every day.
Oh, that's where it came from?
Lead, and I think I can say this, and if I can't, they'll bleep me out, but lead with your nipples when you walk. You said that to me like 2 years ago.
If nipples get censored, I'm calling someone.
We're going to have a problem. Yeah, I don't think we'll. But yeah. Okay, let's keep moving though. Number 2.
True. So curve of movement. And it's important because otherwise we get stiff and achy. We are supposed to move like that. And it's not just a curve of movement physically when we walk. It's a curve of movement through life. When you go to the grocery store and they're like, I'm going to shop over here. I'm going to, look at this. Oh, look at that. And, marketers know this about us. And a man technically, typically will be, I have a list. I'm getting this. I'm getting out of the store. And I learned this. I used to shop for my husband. He was a CEO. You know him. And he didn't like to go to the stores. He wanted it. So I would literally go bring it to him. And he never wanted to go browse anything ever. Yeah. So curve of movement, not just through, not just physically in our bodies, but through life.
As we move.
Or circuitous. Communication.
2. Okay.
Yeah.
3.
Huge. Connection.
Right. 4.
Oh my gosh, the counting makes me nervous. It's funny. Intuition.
Okay, and 5.
So now I have to go back through them.
Curve of movement.
Communication, connection,
intuition.
And because I'm come back to it.
Okay, we'll come back to it. No, that'll be important. It'll come back at the perfect time. Number 2 is what lights you up. Number 2 is what lights you up and brings you joy. So take me through. So you want people to kind of develop an understanding of what they like curve of movement. So this is day 2 is what I'm referring to. What lights you up and brings you joy.
So, right. Know what lights you up. A lot of we women are so disconnected from our bodies. So I teach embodiment. So like getting back in your body, feeling your body, which in yoga, hugely important for vinyasa. Oh, yeah. Right. I'm not sure for the other ones as much.
Of course. Absolutely. All of them.
Yeah. Moving on your breath and being in your body. How does it feel? Not how does it look, right? So when we're that disconnected, we may not even know what makes us happy. So one of the things I like to do early on in coaching for some women is you literally make a list. Like when you feel joy or excited or happy, what just happened? What's happening? And then begin to know and cultivate those intentionally, like make them happen in your day.
Right. I love that.
Because that energy lights you up.
Yeah. It brings me back to the old philosophy that when you walk into a deli, you don't just order a sandwich. You order a pastrami on rye with mustard and a side of pickles. And the same goes true for the things that delight us, that if we can't identify with that stuff, we're almost like an octopus. We don't have a goal. We don't have, it's almost like a roadmap type philosophy. So I like it. Okay. Number 3, day 3, embody your beautiful boundaries. Talk to me about that.
Huge, so big. We could do a whole podcast episode on boundaries alone. So let's say, I love role playing too.
Oh boy, don't look this way.
Oh,
don't you dare.
Well, I was thinking he's a man. But so for instance, you're a little girl, you're 7 years old. You'll be the little girl, I'm mom, okay?
Okay.
Patty, your Uncle Manny's here. Go give him a hug. Why are you just standing there? Go give him a hug. Yeah. Okay, one example, it's so common. And like I said earlier, we are born with different bodies. And in an S Factor, we call it archetypes, erotic creatures, actually. But we're born, some of us have more private bodies. Some of us have less need for physicality.
Sure.
And
are actually uncomfortable with it.
Uncomfortable. And if you're born into an Italian family, is that respected?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, not at all. Yeah.
Right?
You have to hug
everybody.
Yeah.
And look, we know this, and it's sad, and it's all too common that not every adult has great sexual boundaries, and kids can feel that sometimes. Like, they're very intuitive. So we come to adulthood as women, and that's just one tiny example of how our boundaries are violated. It happens in school constantly. Anyway, but so we come to adulthood as women, and our boundaries have been shut down. We've been denied our boundaries. So how are we supposed to have them with ourselves and in relationships if they were never honored and we never really knew what they even were?
Why do you think our boundaries have been shut down? Explain that.
So that's one example. The example I gave
like
about
the Uncle Manny. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
Your body's not important. Your intuition's not important. What's important is how it looks and how he feels, not how you feel. And then everyone knows that my daughter's a good girl, and she listens to her mom, and she's friendly, and she smiles all the time. You know, why are you frowning? Smile more. Why are you smiling so much? Like, I mean, there's so many messages we're given when we're little that how our body feels and what we want, how we feel and how our body feels and what we want isn't okay. Mm-hmm.
It's time.
Yeah.
That was brilliant, Dorothy. Thank you for pointing that out and giving that light. I saw a video recently, Hug Your Grandfather. Oof. And the mother was like, nope, she doesn't want to hug you, Papa. Sorry. And everybody was like, ugh.
Good job, Mama Bear.
Good job, Mama Bear.
That's hard for the woman to do. And if she can do that.
Yeah. So ladies, put that in your pipe and smoke it, and don't go away, because we will be back in a few here on The Good Soul. Hey there, busy women in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. This is for you. If you've been struggling with fatigue, stubborn weight gain, restless nights, or gut issues that just won't quit, it's time to stop guessing and start healing. Kimberly is an integrative health practitioner and helps women uncover the root causes of their health challenges so they can feel energized, balanced, and truly alive again. Let's get to the bottom of what's holding you back. Book your free health strategy call today at KimberlyFlebby.com, because you deserve to feel amazing every day. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. I'm Patty Alvarez. I'm here with the lovely and amazing Dorothy Diana, and we are talking 14 days, and I can also say in ways 14 steps to magnetizing. Is that the word I'm looking for? Magnetic feminine radiance. I'm such a ADD, I forget everything brain. Okay, so moving right along, spirituality and faith. Talk to me about that.
So that's interesting, because working in the field of truly of sexuality and sensuality, a lot of times that gets left off the table, or we can only talk about popular spirituality like Kali energy and Tantra, which is fine. So what I've found, though, through my work is that when women embody a spiritual belief, a faith source, a faith base with a higher power, they tend to move through healing and trauma very quickly, much, much quicker. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So my goal is to help women understand that our sexuality is not evil or bad at all. It was a gift. It is a gift. It has amazing energy for us and for others. It's very healing for others. And sexuality does not mean penetrative sex at all. In fact, my recommendation for women I work with is to wait. And practical reasons, one we were talking about during the break, is 4 to 6 months is this magical time where the real person comes out in dating. You really don't know who someone is until 4 to 6 months. So it's healthy for a woman to wait. It's very self-protective, because the heart-crushing, reality, if you've been physically intimate with someone, because we bond, our oxytocin, we bond very much so. And a woman will ignore yellow and red flags after penetration. 3 kinds of penetration. I say wait on those. And because the bonding is real, and you don't know someone until 4 to 6 months. So there's a spiritual and energetic relationship with sexuality that, interestingly, is supported by the old religious texts, whether that's a turnoff for women or not to hear that. But we never want to come from a place of shame. We make choices for our bodies because it's what's good for us. Everything is what is good for you as a woman. Science shows waiting, having a spiritual connection. If you didn't have a great father figure, you can actually pray and transfer that energy of needing a father, which looks like needing rescuing in relationships. It looks like codependency. Looks like looking for daddy. It is so epidemic for women. You can actually alchemize that into a connection with God. And there's so much more on this, how you can get masculine support in your life without having penetration, without entering physical sexuality.
Of course, yeah.
And you can also give a man sexual energy that's healing without doing that also. It's amazing.
Sure.
So when you have a healed sexuality, yeah, go ahead.
No. So you're suggesting to our single friends out there, whether they're 25 or 65, to wait to be intimate.
I will say
3 to 6 months.
And so I've come full circle. I used to be all the free love, like, there's so many reasons why waiting is good for women.
Yeah.
And 3 to 6 months is that's an early window. Like, I'm trying to throw a bone to the ones who can't wait to get in the sack with a man.
Sure.
I would say if I'm really going to talk to a coaching client, I'm probably going to say at least 4 months, preferably 6. And then I've heard from men, I've heard from women, well, what man's going to wait? Oh, they do. You know who waits? Your divine husband waits. You know who waits? A man that sees your value. It shouldn't be about sexuality at all. They do wait. And it's the
right ones wait.
The ones who don't, I'm telling you, the stuff's going to come out anyway, which you wish you
You'd rather find out
with them. I promise.
So it's a great test. It's a great kind of filtering
system. You can look at
system.
it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's what's good for you as a woman. Yeah.
The women that come to you and for guidance, are some of them, do they hold religious beliefs? Most of them, some of them, none of them. What do you find?
So I used to not ask this question when I'm vetting potential new clients.
It's great.
For coaching. Now I do. I say, do you have a spiritual background? Do you have a faith base? I've learned that a woman who has none, who is agnostic or atheist, we're not going to be a good fit. I cannot coach her without talking about spirituality, energy, sexual energy, things like that.
I love you, Dorothy.
Praying, manifesting.
You're really great.
Yeah.
You're great. I watched Demi Moore in an interview recently, and I just got the same feeling. I'm like, you're just so connected and evolved. You really are. It's very inspiring. Let's move on. List the ways men support you. I love this one. I think men get shamed. I sat in a car last night and listened to somebody complaining about the white man. And I was like, wow, come on. There's lots of really good all color men on the planet. So let's talk about many. We got the boys. We got one right here.
We got divine masculine right in our presence.
I'm a big fan of men.
I mean, you are. I've always heard nothing but amazing things.
I'm a big fan of good people, not stereotyping. How's that?
Your guest, Gary Bright, last week was.
Oh God.
Yeah, divine masculine. I've known him for years.
Divine masculine.
Funny how all of us are connected so much, but yeah. So. And that's the reason. Our culture pushes women to men bash. Our culture has thrown men under the bus and masculinity so much. I went to the sex ed conference in Jersey last year, and I actually left a day early.
Did you?
The Sexual Educators Conference, national.
Wow.
Because it bothered me so much. The trends in sexual education are not really supporting us as humans to be the best we can be at all. And throwing men and masculinity under the bus is one example. And they're doing it in schools. I pulled my kids out of schools. I'm like, we're not doing this. You know, I homeschooled most of the time.
Do you think it's getting political? Is that kind of
absolutely? Yeah. So many things. Well, we're stronger as humans when we emphasize and support our natural gifts. And the masculine natural gifts is strength. It's directness. So now no one's allowed to be direct anymore, right?
Yeah. Well, not in my world.
Well, we changed
yes.
that.
Not in my world.
We used to.
Yeah. I think people are waking up to this harsh realization that system is not working.
We're oversensitive. So we've censored everyone. We've castrated and emasculated the masculinity. But, oops.
That's okay.
So one thing I encourage women to do, all the women, but mostly if they come with ideas of men and frightened of men, and that's a cultural fear and a fear based on some reality that has happened in the past 5,000 years, right?
Right.
Start looking for ways men support you. throughout your day, every single little thing that happens, whether it's your mailman, it was raining, so he brought it, the UPS guy. How often do they do that? They bring it up like so far up into my house. They don't even
they come right to the counter here because I give them a sweet smile and they want to help.
Yeah, Home Depot, the guy that moved all my mulch into the car, even though he didn't have to, and it was really busy that day. And I mean, there's so many ways.
Yeah.
The man who texted me, my handyman, who now I've shared with like all my friends, hey, how's it going? I was thinking about you lately. Did that thing ever get fixed, or do you need me to come over? Like, that just feels so supportive.
Yeah.
That will happen all day long. And when you start intentionally noticing it, how masculine supports you as a woman who might be afraid of men or stagnant in romance, like a lot of women will isolate themselves when they have wounding and, they just don't get out there at all. But when you start noticing, all of a sudden you get more of it. Like, the more you notice, the more great men come around. And this is one of the steps, actually, if a woman's trying to attract her divine husband, that's one of the early steps. Okay. Because you cannot attract what you don't believe in. Right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If you don't embody the belief that men are good and they want to help you. They're here to help. That's literally like their instinct is to protect. Yes.
Well, if you don't believe it, you're like almost dreaming of finding Prince Charming, who doesn't really exist.
Cinderella story.
Yeah. I like traditional male-female roles. And as non-traditional as our household is, we still, carry all of those. Like, he has his lane and I have my lane, and we like to kind of, bounce off of each other.
With the safety thing, everything's done. Make sure you put the 4-wheel drive on.
He's very, very protective.
I love
He's
that.
All right, I'm just going to say this out loud, and I think this one goes without saying. Number 6 would be Radiant self-care habits. I think everybody kind of, unless you think there's anything blaring you want to mention,
self-care,
that's pretty
stellar self-care,
stellar self-care.
Huge.
And then number 7 is your radiant sensual environment, and I guess making sure that your home. Is that what you're referring to?
Every woman needs a nest, and I believe every man needs a space too. But let's talk about women. This carpet, you can't see. Well, the carpet is a beautiful white sheepskin. Yes, have things like this around your house.
Delightful.
Things that are beautiful. This gold and the mirror. These things please the feminine eye. We need a nest. And this helps us be in our softness. It helps us feel happy, right? Even the texture of this, like you can sit on it in your yoga shorts or your bathrobe and just feels really nice. So a sensual environment, candles, beautiful music, make your home a
hot bath.
Patty's hot bath every night.
The details.
Men love it. And that's one of the reasons a masculine man wants a feminine woman, is because she creates a nest. He's out there in the world fighting and clawing, and it's a gray world, colorless, full of, and we create this beautiful soft nest for them to be at peace in.
It's so beautiful. All right, listen, guys. This is great because this is your favorite topic, and the one you really wanted to talk about is body movement. So we're going to wrap up segment 3, and we're going to dive into segment 4, talking body movement. So guys, we'll see you in a few here on The Good Soul. Who isn't looking to get happy and healthy and empower themselves in an extraordinary fitness community? At Good Soul Hot Yoga, we offer life-changing yoga, strength training, cycling, and relaxing therapeutic classes that will make everything in your life feel better. For some power, balance, and peace of mind, we will deliver. Come experience our spa-like wonderland in the center of Mooresville. We will become your happy place. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. I am Patty Alvarez. I'm here with the incredible Dorothy Diana. What a great conversation we're having. So we're talking about magnetic feminine radiance, and Dorothy has written one of 2 really great books. This one is 14-Day Steps, which we're going through, and she's been kind of excited to talk about this one. And it would be number 8, Body Movement That Supports Feminine Form and Curves, is how you have it phrased in the book. Speak to that.
Well, like we touched on earlier, so from the time we're little girls, we're rushed. We're never really allowed, unless we're very lucky and we have kind of hippie parents and maybe we homeschooled, because that community actually is pretty good at supporting the feminine. But little girls want to play. They want to take their time. They want to sit in the grass. But if we think back, most of us were rushed from the earliest we can remember. Like, let's go. Come on, hurry up. If you ever travel to islands or cultures where it's a little more indigenous, you'll notice women walking differently because the way we're intended to walk is slower. So, I teach a walk in my movement series, but it's slower. It's a lot of hips. It's raised chest, raised chin. So here's our throat chakra. Here's our voice, which so many of us have shut down since we were little. We've had our voice shut, right? And so we learn to lift the chin a little and let this open up. When the trauma has healed and we've cleared it out, and we do this through movement in my practice, this begins to naturally lift. This begins to naturally open up more. So if you ever walk through this culture, and if you go travel, you'll see different. A lot of women like this, right? With the hunched shoulders, protecting the heart, protecting the breasts so they're not noticed. There's a lot of reasons, but we learn this is a more natural position. This is a heart open, confident. The breasts are leading. The chin is a little bit lifted. And then we walk with the hips able to undulate, not so constricted. So when we shed the trauma, when we do the healing, when we step into our feminine energy, the walk, the movement changes. So we do that in the studio intentionally. And what I do have to tell women though, because once they become what I call unleashed and they discover that they have permission to move like this, sometimes they'll take it out in the world a little more inappropriately. Like they'll want to wear their high heels to Home Depot and their little short skirt and walk through the aisles this way. And so I always say, be aware of what people see. You might feel this way, but be aware of what they see. Yeah.
And don't get offended when somebody hits on you.
Because everyone, they're not the women in our circle that we move with. It's a safe space. Yeah. But going out in the world, you do want to be able to tap into that flatline sexuality a little bit. So we talk about the layers of sexuality also. Flatline is where we've turned off intentionally, sometimes non-intentionally from trauma, but we're just very cold, closed. Yeah. And then the last layer is soulful sensuality, which is what we come into. And that's when the walk becomes soft and undulating and lifted and light and radiant. It's hugely important.
So the movement that you do, this is a yoni. What?
So S Factor is what I'm licensed advanced instructor in.
Okay.
I've practiced for 20 years. And most of what I teach is S Factor based. However, due to being trauma certified and sexual health and then coaching into feminine energy, I've incorporated a lot of my own philosophy. But basically, yes, it's S Factor. So Tony Robbins uses it with his Platinum Retreat members because it is so transformative for women who are seeking more intimacy, more feminine energy, and to really just step into amazing magnetic radiance. Yeah,
I want to learn more, and I'd love to see if we can't somehow get something on the books here at the studio. I think it sounds really powerful for everybody. Are you comfortable with what you shared so far on movement, and can we move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I am too. I think you articulated it very well. Embody the radiant quality of receptivity. That really stands out to me.
Well, there's a lot on that. So if we were raised from little girlhood to perform, produce, always overwork, our value being based on what we can produce.
I know nothing about that.
Oh, yeah, right? I feel that.
Pass me a tissue.
All of us.
Kidding.
All of us.
Okay. Yeah.
All of us to some degree, we'd have to, like I said earlier, have hippie parents, being homeschooled, be completely removed from our culture to not have some of that influence. So receptivity, the ability to receive. So in relationship with the masculine, if the feminine cannot receive his gifts of service, protection, providership, oh, honey, let me help you with that. No, I've got it. So typical. Okay, well, you've just cut him off. And or let me take you to dinner tonight. A lot of women, what they'll do with men is they'll try to reciprocate tit for tat on his gifts. Do you know who likes the tit for tat or even you doing more? Is our passive alphas, our Peter Pan men. So the kind of men that aren't tapped into their masculine instinct to provide and protect, they're wounded severely. So if you are a woman who cannot receive, you will only attract a masculine who is wounded. I promise. So receptivity, able to receive his energy, his strength. Yeah. And that goes into the bedroom also.
Man, how does this all make you feel as a man, not as my husband? Be honest. Are you like, wow, when you hear her say that?
appreciate, women more and understand them more.
Are you inspired by it, like, and hopeful?
Well, I understand, more, you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women. Okay. Yeah.
Picking up little hits in there and there.
Dorothy.
I kind of feel a little off base too, though. Don't get me wrong. When you guys talking role playing stuff.
Oh, she wasn't talking about sex and dressing up like the firemen, silly.
I know, sweetie,
but that is...
I'm all embarrassed, right, kind of,
It's fun. That's a fun conversation.
I want to be masculine.
Well, one of the reasons we have such a strong porn addiction in the country is a lack of feminine receptivity. And I could go on and on about that, but men do need varieties. We talk about role playing, we're joking kind of, but the truth is,
so do women, Dorothy.
You can have a lot of variety in bed. But if we're cut off from our sensualities, that's one of the feminine geniuses I couldn't think of earlier.
Yeah.
Sensuality, if we're cut off from our bodies and our creativity, like we have natural, like you're always in colors and you have so much natural sensuality. I can look by your decorations. But if we're cut off from that in the bed, we're cut off from ourselves also. And so I'm not justifying a man going to pornography. In fact, they make it so addictive and it's so damaging in relationships.
Yeah, and the industry itself is...
We can bring to the table to a healthy man our feminine energy. He will never go to that. He will not need to.
Yeah.
And
ain't nothing like the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. It's not the time to be singing. Getting back to nature. Some of these we were going to kind of breeze over because they're pretty obvious. But getting back to nature. And then the next one, positive self-talk for a radiant mindset. Same thing. That's kind of, as I said to her on the break, Psych 101.
Well, this especially if you're a yoga teacher, because meditation and breath, that's what you're doing in that room. I advocate yoga for all women pretty much.
Yeah, for lots of reasons. I agree. I love this one. Empowered self-acceptance. Can you speak a little bit about, or feminine acceptance? I'm sorry.
Well, it is self-acceptance. And the reason is if we don't fully accept ourselves, we're certainly not going to accept them. We're going to always try to change them and correct the men in our lives. But that's really about ourselves. It always comes back to ourselves. And I always say when couples come to me, I will work with men and there's some powerful things that can be done. And I will tell the woman, when you shift, everything shifts. So when she has stellar self-love, stellar self-acceptance, she can now accept him. But what a lot of women will do, especially in dating, and they'll take this into marriage also, is they will pretend everything's fine. And then 4 to 6 months, when the veil's pulled up, right, the real person comes out. Or even some women will wait until marriage, especially if they have a lot of some certain kind of wounding. They'll be able to be very submissive. And
also cultural programming too.
Yes.
Right.
Right, which is wounding also. But
same difference.
Right. So much so trauma. But they'll be able to wait until marriage. Like some women can't, but some women can actually wait until marriage and pretend everything's okay. And then the ish hits the fan because they're not actually accepting him for who he is. So that's why you wait 4 to 6 months in dating. Okay. You're curious. You don't, interrogate him. Like you have a list, like, is marriage something you're looking, some women will like have this almost list. You don't need any of that energy when you wait. But the point is, you're accepting who he is as a human. You're not wanting to change him. Your divine husband's out there. Yeah. You don't have to make him into it.
I have a friend.
And that's a beautiful freedom for men when you really feel accepted. Like she's not saying, well, he'd be really great if he was just this. No, that guy's out there.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. I have a friend who they were extremely wealthy, like old money back in New Jersey. And she used to make her date, like she'd go on dates and she'd make them bring their credit report.
Oh,
on a date. Yeah. And I also remember saying, conversely, a friend who got divorced from a very wealthy husband from here. And I said to her, do not pull up in that fancy car on your first date. Just don't show your hand. Don't tell him where you live. She's got a lot of money. She's got a beautiful home. She's a beautiful. Yeah. I said, just don't show your hand, honey. Just show up casually at Birkdale and yeah. And like will attract like eventually. I mean, she's not going to marry somebody. But okay. 2 more. Soulful sensuality, which we touched on, I think, a little bit more in body movement. Or is there anything you'd want to add?
That's the intersection of sexuality and spirituality, where we've gotten a great relationship with God through meditation and other practices. And we understand that this is a gift and that this is not anything to be ashamed of. And that might resonate in the logical brain. But most women in our culture have subconscious blocks to that, and limiting beliefs very much so. Shame comes up, disconnect comes up. So soulful sensuality is when you've done the work, and the work I do in the foundational series is beautiful for this. And you've stepped into your sexuality as literally just a part of how you breathe and walk through the world. And sexuality and sensuality can be interchangeably used a lot. So you can think of it that way, where you're walking through the world embodied and feeling yourself in every moment.
Okay.
And moving towards pleasure and noticing beauty.
Okay. Last is sisterhood, which we can speak to for days. Yes. I love the ability for us to lift each other up. I think a lot of times we're pitched against one another, whether it's our own trauma or what. But is there anything quick you'd like to say regarding sisterhood quickly? Because I'd like people to have the time to hear about where we can find you.
Essential. So it's a non-negotiable. If you're moving into radiance, that's one of the 5 pillars I talk about is sisterhood. You want a sisterhood tribe that doesn't bash men, that isn't always negative and criticizing, that is on a growth journey and a healing journey also. We are the product of the 5 people we hang out with the most. Tony Robbins says that, but I don't even think he invented it. That is very true. So cultivate a sisterhood that supports you and that has a like-minded vision of where you're going and how great life is and how everything can be accomplished and overcome, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Dorothy, tell everybody.
And you're that. That's you, yeah.
Thank you. Well, not to everybody, but thank you for saying that. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Tell our listeners where they can find you.
So I have a presence on Instagram, Dorothy Diana. I'm not great with it, but you can follow me there. And I do have links to my classes. My website is The Radiant Feminine Life.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I just blanked.
The Radiant Feminine.
It's really funny.
I think it's...
My website is radiantfemininelife.com.
We'll absolutely put it in the description.
Spotlight.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing like being... Okay, we have to wrap this up.
My website's Dorothy Diana, Radiant Feminine, and all my classes are on there.
Okay, awesome. Dorothy, thank you so much for being here. And I see a future with you and I in these two chairs because I have a lot. I'd like to get to almost each and every one of these. So thank you a billion times over. Guys, like, share, comment, keep coming back, and we'll keep feeding you the good stuff. Thank you for being here. Episode 49 on The Good Soul. We love you. Peace. Peace.